I just won bronze place in this month's Hobbytown Tamiya Mini 4-Wheel Drive Tune Class races!
First, second, and third. You guys ready? On your mark. Get set, go!
I don't have to tell you that I raced against stellar competition this month because Hobbytown always attracts stellar competition. That is a fact. And this month, we had more racers than ever in the Tune Class category. So cool, so awesome. And so my goal in this Tune Class race was to make sure that I was able to secure the Lane 1 spot in the finals. And I did that with incremental stepwise execution. I conducted myself like a katana, like a very sharp-edged sword. I made sure that I studied the track as my car was moving around it. I was hearing the sounds. I was looking at where the car was behaving badly on various parts of the track, and I corrected them over time. And you know what? I got to the finals. Lane 1, yes, and I won. So I secured the Lane 1 spot. So cool. That was my goal. Now, one may say, once you get that goal, don't you want to win the entire race? For me, it's about achieving that Lane 1. It's about getting to that point and seeing if you can actually get there. Because there are a lot of one-and-done races out there. DXN is one of them, where you just race a car, and if you lose, that's it. That's the end of your race. You don't get another try for second lane or third lane. That's it. You lose, you're out. That's it. So my goal was to try to see if I can find a car that would succeed on that track, and I did. I chose Pango, my VZ chassis. And this was not perfect, mind you. This is a slightly slower car than other cars that I have in my arsenal. But on that track, it was pretty darn cool. It just worked out very well. VZ chassis with the right brake settings. I put on fresh brakes on the top and bottom, and I was able to achieve what I wanted to achieve on that track. There was a point in which, during practice testing, this car somehow spun around and went backwards, and I corrected that with brake setting on the front. There was also a point in which this thing hop, skipped, and jumped not nicely, and I corrected it with the back brake on the back. And you can see, like, these white brakes are new. They're newer brakes. Like, I had blue brakes on them before, and I had to just make sure that they were freshened up for this car. Yeah, and I think the reason why it did so well was these 19mm rollers in the rear. Yeah, because they traversed all of those crazy turns very well. There were a lot of right angle turns, at least 10 of them. There were some hairpin turns, there were some jumps, and then landing back on a 45-degree angle. That was crazy. And there's also a digital curve, and that basically threw a lot of people for a loop. And if you don't have the proper roller settings and proper brake settings for digital turns, you're going to course out. So some people can try to rectify that by including those little springy front sliding dampers, and that's cool, but you know, I don't trust them really because they actually take away the speed of your car on straightaways and other things like that. I would rather have something solid and stable than something that springs back and forth. But your mileage may vary on that, and that's okay. That's cool. That's your philosophy on how to race. My philosophy is to have something strong, stable, and solid at all times as much as possible. Now in open class, it's a different story. You want to have flexibility if you can. But for Tune Class, you want it to be strong, stable, solid. You want your car to be heavy enough, tank-like enough to stay on the track, because there's going to be a lot of obstacles on the track that will cause your car to course out. Why is that? It's because in box stock, for example, you've got this slow car moving around a track. It's going to more or less stay put. Now imagine, if you will, the same box stock car with all of the metal gear all around it, and you're going at such faster speeds than box stock. Now you have to worry about stability. Stability is the #1 asset for a Tune Class car, and you want to make sure that your car is as stable and solid and firm as possible, and that's where these damper settings are very, very important. So you want to make sure you have enough weight on your car to weigh the car down and also take care of things such as slope jumps. You also want to make sure that the car is not so heavy that it's not going to move very quickly. So you want to make sure that whatever settings you have correspond to the car itself. So this car weighs 132 grams. which is fairly light for a Tune class car compared to other cars I've seen. But with this VZ chassis, it seems to work well, and because this is an animal racer, I think everything is nicely balanced in the center because of this little animal guy right here. Yeah, he adds a little bit of weight to the middle of the car, and that's pretty cool. So I love my animal racers. I'm glad that my animal racer won this time around. This was a pretty solidly fierce track, and Race Master Eric designed some really elaborate and tricky tracks every month. This one was not as difficult as previous ones, but it was still hard in a way because you had to slow down your car a bit to get your car to stay on the track. If you were too fast, you'd course out, and a lot of people with their FMA chassis had super fast cars and they would course out. And so my goal was to make sure that this did not course out in the finals, and it did not. So as I was racing, I was clearly behind everybody. You can see in the races that I was clearly behind everybody. I started in lane 1, so I already had a disadvantage right there, right? Because I had that long sweeping turn before I got to anything that was like good and cool and stuff. And you know, it's like, yeah, I was behind most of the time, but I was relying on the other cars to try to go super fast and course out. So yeah, pretty cool. So my slow and steady wins the race car won. And you know what? The funny thing is, in the very beginning, my goal was to beat everybody speed-wise. And I did, because I had solid battery settings. I had 1.51 and 1.58 volt battery settings in this, and it was faster than basically everyone's car. But during the finals, I didn't change the batteries, and I wanted to make sure that this was stable, and I played a conservative game so that I could be in that top 3 spot. And I didn't expect anything more than bronze, to be quite honest, and I was happy to get bronze. I knew that the other competitors were probably going to try to outspeed everyone else. In the finals, you know, like, you want to be first or second. First, preferably. Third place, some people don't really care about third place, as I discussed in the previous video. But it's good to be in the top 3 spots. Why not? That means you're one of the top 3 amongst all of those cars that competed. That's pretty cool. So my goal was to not course out, because every time I course out in the finals, I just feel really awful, don't you? It's just really, really awful. So I'm glad that I have this like low to the ground stable car that just stayed on the track. I'm glad for that. My other car, Eagle, didn't fare as well. For some odd reason, this one was a little slower than I would have liked. I don't know why, which is really weird, because this actually has a 371 gear in it, this has a 351 gear in it, and everything is more or less the same. I think this might be a little heavier, and that's why it didn't fare as well. And also, I was very, very conservative with this one too, not upping the battery voltages too much because of some wackiness on the track. The slope jump ending in the 45-degree turn, that caused this to course out, and it also caused my son's car, which is an equivalent car, to also course out in the same spot. So I didn't want to up the battery voltage on these 2 cars very much. My open class cars didn't fare as well as my Tune class cars because I was going for broke on those. But the funny thing was, the very first car that I raced, which is the new Venom 2.0, actually fared extremely well, all things considered. I think I have it right here. Yes. My first race with this new car, with my carbon plate body damper design. So this is my own version of the body damper system that other people sell as a kit, as you see here. So mine, I believe, is actually superior to this one that they actually sell for various reasons I'll go into in the next video. But yeah, this is cool as a starter, kind of like, this is how you learn how to build these things. But I took that design and I said, you know what, how do we make this better? How do we make it stronger? How do we make it more stable? How do we get it to allow something like this kind of body shell to be attached to it, right? So that's the challenge. Like, this right here is not going to work on my car very well because I've got this front part over here that blocks this from sitting properly on here. So I can't use this anyway. So this was like a waste of money for me, but it gave me some ideas. And so I took those ideas and I built my own body damper with carbon plates. And yeah, this worked out quite well. In fact, if you look through some of the footage videos, you'll see that this did very well in practice runs as well as the actual runs. And I think I was actually in the finals with this car as well for one of the lanes, or maybe 2 of the lanes. So yeah, I had a chance, I had a shot. And for a first time car, that was pretty cool. I like it. So yeah, this is, everybody got to see this in action. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I didn't get a chance to race my other Venom, my older Venom, because I wanted to race my Pro car. And my Pro car did fairly well too, except it did kind of fizzle out on the Duracell Optimum batteries that I used with it, unfortunately. So what can you do? The Duracell Optimum batteries give a 1.69 volt battery charge, and that's a lot. And unfortunately something happened where it just automatically tripped itself off or something. And I replaced the batteries, put in other batteries, and then it worked again. So something in the battery itself just tripped itself off. I can't explain why. So yeah, this is a pretty productive month this month at Hobbytown. And my prize for bronze place, I picked out this double aluminum rollers with rubber ring set. This is always valuable. It's basically the front part right here on my open class cars. It uses these rollers right here in a reverse manner, as you see. Pretty darn cool. Yeah. So yeah, this is always a very, very valuable item to me. Pretty darn cool. I felt it was better actually than getting a kit, but it would have been cool to get a kit. Yeah. So I was eyeballing the Brocken Gigant, but unfortunately the gold place winner won that fair and square. So Scott, congratulations, Deep Pit Stop crew, for winning gold this month. I'll see you next month and we'll see what happens. Yeah. So yeah, we have here also this car. I also attempted to race this car. In practice runs, it was okay, and then it started coursing out, and I said, you know what? I'll just put this to rest for this month. That's okay. We'll just try a different track on a different month, and we'll see how we fare. So yeah, pretty darn cool. So everybody, if you like this video, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel, and you'll see more videos just like this one. Until next time, everybody, see you. Bye.